how's it going? Welcome to Terrapin Glassblowing Studio here in Jaffrey. My name's David Lewis. We're about to get ready to make a goblet here, and hope you enjoy it. Take some notes.
So what we're going to try and do here is something Dave hasn't done in quite a while. Just make a goblet. What I got laid out here is a couple of full-length tubes I'm going to cut in half first. How I do that is I just balance it on the top of my torch. Once I got the balanced, I know that the center point is about right there. Good enough for me. That's close. Good enough. That's that one. All right. So I'm just going to do a simple, no real color, just fumed goblet here. See if I can pull it off. Like I said, it's been some time since I've made one. It's about time I get back into making them because they are fun. First things first, got to preheat the tube. What I'm going to start trying to make is I probably should make the foot first. Preheat the tube a little bit. Down to about here should be good. Silver fume on it. Burn that right into the glass like I was doing earlier. Make sure it's all on center. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap some rod around it. So having not made one of these in about a year, I'm running through the process in my brain right now of what I should be doing. So if it doesn't come out this time, come by the shop soon. I'm sure you'll see another one made properly. So this is just clear rod over the silver. Still gives it a pretty cool effect. The idea behind this is that if you were to pour a Merlot or a dark wine into the glass, it would essentially change colors, which is what the silver and gold tend to do. They tend to be a light-looking hue of a color in the glass. Then you apply something dark behind it. It just brings out all those blues and whites and whatever else you use to fume. Like if you were to fume gold in there too, you bring out a bunch of the greens and purples and reds too. Quite a neat little technique. It makes people who don't play with glass go ooh and ah. And us glass blowers like you guys going ooh and on. Since I'm making the foot, I don't want to be going too big with this wrap. That's about good right there. We'll go ahead and heat up the whole piece again. Do that surfing thing I was talking about before. Surf the flame where that whole flame is being utilized. Then we're going to spin it all on center again. All right. I'm going to go ahead and make the termination on this side. My marber. gonna go ahead and heat the whole piece up. Start blowing it into a ball. Yeah, I suppose essentially I could be using my bigger torch right now, but I like to use my smaller one in some instances because it keeps the flame more generalized in one spot where I like it. The big flame seems to just throw heat at the piece and I can't really control where I want the heat. So this way I'll just use the small guy for now. Give it a little puff. Trying to get that glorious heat base going here. And at the same time, I'm trying to get it all back into a nice gather as well. Now the thing with goblets is you got to make sure all the wall thicknesses and everything is blown out evenly. Because unlike my brethren over there at the hot shop where you can plop down chunks of glass and just adhere it to it as a foot, can't do that over here. We have to actually use centrifugal force to open up the bottom into a foot. So the foot actually starts off as a ball, and I have to make sure I pop the hole on center on the other side when I make this foot, or if I don't pop it on center, you're gonna have a floppy looking foot. So like I said, I haven't done this in about a year, so the outcome is probably as good as you can guess as well. I'm not sure where it's gonna go, but we'll find out together. So right now I'm just trying to make sure all the wall thickness is all even, the ball's staying on center, and heat base. 3 things going on all at once. Looking good so far. All right. So I think I'm going to do a little bit of a lip wrap on the end of this. And on previous episodes, pretty sure you guys saw the hot shop doing lip wraps. They have a whole new technique for it. I'm going to do it a completely different way than they do it over there. What I'm doing here is heating up the end of this on center so I can pop a nice hole. Once I get this popped, I'll throw it in the kiln and let that chill out in there for a little bit while I go ahead and make the other part for the lip wrap. The other part for the lip wrap is going to be me coil potting some color onto one of the smaller tubes I just tore apart. Essentially, if you have a blow hose, this is the perfect time to use it. Me, I don't use one. So pop that out nice on center. Well, that looks pretty good. Good on center pop right there. So that looks pretty good. Go back and just flatten that just a little bit. All right, so there's my hole on center. Put this in the kiln for a minute while I go ahead and start the other part. I think for a foot we'll go with this multi. So I got to pop a hole in the end of this tube so I can do my coil pot onto the top of this tube here. So I'll just tear off a little bit, heat up the end. See, now that hole is popped a little off center, so I'm going to go back and try that again. All I'm doing is opening up the end of this a little bit so I can get the color on there just how I'd like it. Back and flatten it all a bit. Now time for the coil pot. Turn my flame down a little bit. Get this hot. And for all you pottery people out there who are familiar with the term coil potting, same idea, only with glass. So I'm wrapping the color around the clear, making sure to keep the rest of it out of the flame so that when I go over this color, it's slightly stable so I can keep wrapping color on top of it. I'm doing what the coil pot is, you know, this is where you get the term from. Keep wrapping, keep wrapping, keep wrapping until you get your desired amount of color. You don't want a lot because it's only a lip wrap. So now I'm already going on the inside and closing up the hole. There it is. Just go in and tag that and it's all closed. Now what I'm going to do is kind of reheat all this color. Since it's liquid and glass, we can get this all blown out into a pretty ball. Reheat it and blow it out and reheat it and blow it out to get those walls nice and even. So that when I go and apply this to the other part there, should all do the nice flare out that I want, all nice evenly. If any of this works out unevenly, the foot will be all floppy and won't look good. Essentially, I'm going for a lip wrap just like that. That is a lip wrap on the foot. So if it all works out, it should look like this foot of a goblet I made a while ago. Let's hope. So I'm going to heat this up one more time. Make sure all the walls are nice and good. They're just about there. All right, so now I'm going to pop a hole on center with this guy. Nice pin flame just so the end of that gets hot. I always give it a little puff there to give it more of a point so I can just make sure I'm heating that dead on center point. Just about ready to pop that hole. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Now I'm just trying to open it about the same size as the other hole I made on the other piece. And flatten it and make sure it's all pretty and ready to go onto that foot. All right, let's give this a whirl. Use my rag here, wipe off the kiln dust. We're just going to go ahead and apply this to the bottom. Put that on. Give it a little weld. Not too much because you're going to blow this right into the piece anyways. You're going to make these both very uniform. I got those tagged together, looking pretty good. So now I'm going to go over here and terminate this color. Now, if I get some clear on the end there like I did, it's no problem. I just go in there and pick it back out. Heat the end up like that. Stick that right in there and pull it out. So now we got the colored end on there. Now we're gonna make this all uniform. We're gonna blow this all back into a ball. So what I'm doing is heating the tip of this and heating the top of the ball too. So we can have this all go back uniformly into a ball. So far, so good. Everything's looking like it's staying on center like I like. You see how I'm focusing on the end of this rather than the rest of the ball, because ideally I'd like to just make this into a ball without having to heat the whole piece up again. Getting there. There, it's looking pretty good. Now we're ready to go in and make that on-center pop in the color. Pretty vital that you go in at this at a perfect 90-degree angle to your flame so that you get that on-center pop, especially if you're not using hoses like me. I got it. It actually looks pretty on-center to me. Happy with that. All right. Here comes the fun part. Trying to flare this out. As you can see, I'm trying to keep everything nice and circular, nice uniform circles and flatness. And I want this all to come out properly. Trying to get a nice bushy flame here to heat up the end of this piece. Put my glove on here so I can start using this without burning my fingers. So actually what I'm doing right now is not really using centrifugal force because I still have it on the tube. The tube is too wide for me to spin. So instead of using the centrifugal force for this right now, I'm actually going around and doing it more like you probably see in the hot shop where they're just gradually opening up the bottom. What I'm going to do is stick a cork in the end of my tube here, keep the flame from going up it and burning my little fingers. So I'm actually heating both sides of the glass right now, the inside and the outside. Once I get it to that glorious uniform heat-based color, I'll stick the graphite marver back in there and try and flatten this right out into a foot. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, so now I'm going to try and do some of that centrifugal force spin once I get some of this heated up the way I'd like it. I mean, honestly, it's not looking too bad for not having to do this in a year. So I would normally have this on a like 6mm rod so I can spin it, but I don't have that right now. So what I'm going to do is just spin it on the tube and hope for the best. And they're always looking for that sweet heat base. That's looking pretty good as a foot. And then I come over here to my marver and just set it down and spin it around a bit so that it's got a nice foot. And again, I usually let go of my tube because if it's going to stand with the tube there, it's going to stand on its own anyways. It's not a bad looking foot. It actually came out quite nice. You can see the lip ring around there that I created, and it's got that nice silver hue in there. Pretty happy with how that came out for not doing it for so long. So what I'm doing now is going to relight my small torch using radiant heat. Turn off my big guy. I'm going to go in here with my ball grabbers and tear this foot off. While I'm doing this, I'm trying not to get my ball grabber, the fingers on it too hot. It'll cause marks on the glass if I get it too hot. Just heating this point up here, trying to let it reduce a bit before I give it a pull. There are many, many ways of making goblets in the lamp working field. This is just one of them, honestly. There's just so many different techniques. I know guys that make them on one tube, the whole thing on one tube. Well, they'll take and they'll make this part the stem, but I'm not going to do that. So now that that's looking pretty good, I'm going to go ahead and get this terminated off the tube. And I hang it upside down so everything stays on center. That's a pretty key function in glass, is making sure everything stays on center. As you probably heard me repeat multiple times. So I'm just trying to get a nice gather on the end of this so that I'll have something to stick the stem to. That looks pretty good. It's not a bad foot for not having made one in a year or so. Pretty pleased with the way that looks.
All right, that'll about do it for this episode. And next episode, tune on in. We're going to go ahead and try and finish up this goblet for you.